188 and a half.
Well, he probably stopped eating a lot, because when I fought Occasio, one thing about him, he had big legs, he had a big neck, and whatnot, and the guy was very strong. He carried all his weight in his legs. I don't know how he could get back down to fight at 188 pounds.
Well, one thing for sure, the guy's determined, because the only losses that do mar the real fine record of 26-2-1 is the fact that he lost to you in the WBA heavyweight champ, now Michael Dokes.
That's saying a lot for him, because, you know, when Jimmy Young was in his prime still, he beat Jimmy Young also.
All right, let's go up to the ring announcer, Angelo Buscaglia.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event this evening. This is the Louis Marquez Promotions in conjunction with Don King Enterprises. Again, the main event for the World Boxing Association Junior Heavyweight Championship of the world. Nick Perez-Triolas, Executive Secretary, WBA Supervisor Gilberto Mendoza of Venezuela. Your judges, Mendero Villalobos from Panama, Ovi Oversen from Denmark, and your referee, Israel Rodriguez from Venezuela. In the blue corner, wearing black trunks with a white stripe, weighing 187.5 pounds, from Chicago, Illinois, young Joe Louis. His opponent, the WBA World Juniorweight Heavyweight Champion, in the red corner, wearing red trunks with a blue stripe, weighing 188.5 pounds, the World Boxing Association Junior Heavyweight Champion,
All right, as we take a look at the tail of the tape, you see both of them exactly the same age. The weight differences are going to make a row of pins difference here. There's 1 inch difference in height in the favor of Occasio, and the reach is a major difference, Larry, 77-74, also in Occasio's favor.
That reach is going to make a big difference. Occasio is very awkward. He fights out of the crouch, and he throws looping left hooks. Very unpredictable.
All right, this fight, championship fight, sanctioned by the World Boxing Association. Nick Perez-Triolas is the WBA supervisor here. It's also under the sanctioning of the Illinois State Boxing Commission. All WBA championship rules are in effect. 10-point must scoring system by the referee and 2 judges. 10-ounce championship gloves. A mandatory 8 count after a knockdown. 3 knockdown rule is in effect. If there are any headbutts inside of 3 rounds, it'll be scored as a technical draw. After 3 rounds, the man that's ahead on points is the winner. Here we go. It's Jaws Occasio in the red trunks and Joe Louis, that's young Joe Louis, in the dark trunks. Round 1 just underway. 15 rounds. WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship.
These guys coming out very hard, Bob. These going to be fight. They really fight. I don't know if this is going to go the distance if they continue to fight like this. Because I know Occasio can punch, and Joe Louis got a good punch himself. But he's getting hit now.
Occasio, something that you pointed out, Larry, can really take a shot.
Yes, he can, and he got a good left hook. And it probably won't be a factor on his style, because right now they're fighting inside.
18-3-0 is the record they're using for Ossie Occasio. For young Joe Louis, he's undefeated, 23-0. We mentioned 2 of those losses that Occasio had were against the man commentating with me, Larry Holmes, and the other against the new WBA heavyweight champs, Michael Doak. So his losses are against very, very formidable opponents, to say the least. Young Joe Louis would love to have this title. Angelo Dundee, who works in the corner of young Joe, says that he feels that he has the ability to win this fight. We'll find out.
Joe Louis is sticking the jab out, sticking hard jabs, but his right is down. He can get hit with left hook because Occasio is sure throwing him. They got a very fast pace for the early in the round.
Extremely fast pace for the very first round of a fight. Young Joe Louis very busy with his hands. Reminds me a bit of Joe Frazier, the way he moves his hands. Good left hook by Occasio.
Yeah, because he got his right hand down, Bob, and I said earlier, Occasio throws good left hook, and he just landed 2. Young Joe Louis fights a little bit like Joe Frazier, but he's not in that crouch like Joe Frazier would be in. He got his right hand down.
Right, Larry, his head isn't as busy as Joe's was in his prime. You know, he has the hand movement, but he doesn't seem to have quite the head movement.
Got to have that head movement because that's what gets hit.
Occasio using the ring, side to side, he's sliding. This is only a 20-foot ring, so there's not a lot of room to move around in here.
These guys can fight in the phone booth, Bob. They're not doing a lot of moving around, and they're just standing right there taking each other's punches.
Coming up to 10 seconds remaining in round 1. Scheduled 15-round WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship fight. Bob Sheridan here with the heavyweight champion Larry Holmes in the ring. Jaws Occasio, the WBA Junior Heavyweight champ, entertaining young Joe Louis from here in Chicago. And we've got a pretty good fight underway here, just underway in the 2nd round. It's young Joe in the black trunks, Jaws Occasio in the red trunks.
Joe Louis is taking some good punches, Bob, and he can't continue to take these punches because eventually those punches tell on you. He's got a lot of movement, but as we said earlier, his hand movement, not head movement, and that could be a factor.
Occasio is showing me more movement than he showed against you, Larry, in that I think fighting at this weight really agrees with him. Obviously, it agrees with him because he's champion.
That is right, Bob. Most Puerto Ricans are little anyway. Most Latin fighters are little, and it's not every day that you see a heavyweight in the Latin fighting.
The WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship is about the same as the Cruiserweight champion for the WBC, except the WBC allows the Cruiserweight to go up to 195, and the WBA cuts it off at 190. Some good shots inside and a couple of good head shots. Occasio is more or less setting the pace for this fight.
Occasio is very strong, Bob. As I was talking to you earlier about is Occasio legs. He got big legs, and that's where he gets his power from.
Joe Louis walked into a left hook that time. And as Larry, you said, he can't continue to take this kind of punishment, or it's going to really begin to show.
Occasio's best punch is the left hook, and he throws it pretty good. And Joe Louis is, with his right hand down, he gets hit with that. He can't continue to get hit with it.
Young Joe has been very carefully handled for this title shot. 23-0-1 is his record.
Occasio got hit with a right hand, but he was pulling away from it. It wasn't really enough on that to hurt him. Occasio using a pretty good left jab, too, Bob.
Hey, he's got radar on that thing tonight, eh?
Yes, he does. Joe Louis is throwing a good, hard left jab.
Louis coming off an 8th round knockout over Lee Royster. His only technical draw was against Dale Grant. That was because of a headbutt in the second round. Closing seconds of round 2. Here we go, round 3 in the scheduled 15-rounder for the Junior Heavyweight Championship of the World. Jaws Occasio to the left of your screen. Young Joe Louis in the black trunks with his back to you, now to the left of your screen.
I think Angelo Dundee told young Joe Louis to keep his left hand up, his right hand up, because he got it way up this time, Bob.
The enthusiasm here for the crowd is unbelievable for Joe Louis. And Occasio, it doesn't bother him a bit. He just came here, takes a good shot, real good shot. He may be wobbled.
He hurt Occasio with that 1-2 punch that time. Occasio smiled, shook it off a little bit, but he was hit with it. He was hit hard.
Larry, I know I broadcast that fight when you fought him. You had him down 6 times before they stopped that fight, didn't you?
No, I think it was 3 times. He comes back with a good left hook. Occasio is good with that left hook, Bob, and that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. I had Occasio down 3 times before they stopped the fight.
He's coming back. He is strong. Jaws Occasio walked into a good shot by young Joe Louis in this round. Up to that point, he was setting the pace for the fight, and that one shot can really change the momentum in a hurry, can it?
Yes, it can. You know, Occasio don't have a very good right hand, but he got a good left hook to the body and to the head, and this is what young Joe Louis have to watch out for. The right hand that Occasio landing is not really too much on that, but the left hook is his punch. Joe Louis do not fear Occasio right now.
Watch young Joe. He's doubling, trying to double with the left, and he'll go upstairs, downstairs, then come back with the right hand. There it is. Downstairs, then back up right on top of the right hand.
I know Occasio can go. I don't know if young Joe Louis can continue this pace because he got a lot of hand movement and little body movements on there, and that kind of wears you out as the fight goes on.
By golly, we're going to find out tonight just whether he can or not. If he can keep this pace up, he's going to be the new champion. If he can, Occasio will retain it.
These guys are really fighting, Bob. These guys are putting on a good fight here.
They're not only putting it on, but they are really working hard, too. It's not just a flashy type of fight. There's a lot of movement by both of them. Good offense, good defense, a real fine fight, a lot of action.
Occasio landed a combination of punches.
Coming up to 10 seconds remaining in round number 3. WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship, Osvaldo Jaws Occasio of San Juan, Puerto Rico in the red trunks. Young Joe Louis, the challenger, 23-0-1 in the black trunks, trying to lift the title from Jaws Occasio.
Good 2 left hook by Occasio and Joe Louis. What Occasio doing now, he's boxing. He's using the jab on the outside, and when young Joe Louis come in, he throws good combinations inside. So young Joe Louis got to be very careful of this.
But Joe really cut loose with that wild right hand and whistled by the shoulder of Occasio. This is the type of fight where it's not going to be a one-punch deal, though.
No, it's going to be a concession of punches that take this fight, take the fighter out. And I can't say who's going to be the one that goes out.
A young Joe Louis is one thing for sure. When he has the opportunity, he will take it and try to unload that right hand. He works it off the left. The training of Angelo Dundee shows. Enrique Carrion and Joe Occasio work with Jaws Occasio.
Occasio is beginning to be a pretty good boxer, too. This is something he didn't do earlier in his career, is box. He's on the outside, stand off the ropes and whatnot, sticking the jab, tying the opponent up, spinning like he just did. He really improved as a fighter.
The other thing that I noticed is he has that sneaky right hand he didn't have before when he fought you. He comes with the left and 2 or 3 times in this fight so far. All of a sudden, bang, there it is again, the right hand.
I'm glad he didn't have that right hand when he fought me, Bob. This is an interesting fight, Bob, because you don't know what's going to happen here. I'm just as excited as the fans because it's curious on the outcome. I'm curious on the outcome. Who's going to be champions? Occasio going to still be champion, or are we going to have a new champion in young Joe Louis?
It's kind of a funny feeling. I'm all hyped up, too, at this fight, leading up to the fight because of the change in cities and everything. It didn't even seem like a championship was at stake. Ooh, what a shot that time. Scored the body. Occasio getting off, but as the momentum of this fight picks up, Louis scores. Occasio comes back. It really has turned out to be some fight.
Occasio is throwing a pretty good right uppercut, too, and Joe Louis got to be very careful because he's coming in, weaving and bobbing with his head down, and that's that could be costly if he don't watch himself.
No messing around type of fight. They're not talking to each other, no smiling. It's all business here in round 4. Round 5. Scheduled for 15. At stake, the WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship. I'm Bob Sheridan. With me, Larry Holmes, a WBC Heavyweight Champion of the world. In the ring, Jaws Occasio, the champion of the WBA Junior Heavyweight Division. The challenger, Joe Louis, young Joe Louis, I should say, in the black trunks. This is round 5. Young Joe seems like he's got the adrenaline going now as he's headhunting.
Yes, he do. He got it going, but he got to still be careful. You can't just walk in there because Occasio throws good uppercuts with left hooks following. Good right hand. Good right hand by Occasio that time. And he backs off from side to side. He got Joe Louis kind of confused a little bit, Bob.
Well, by far, Occasio is the most experienced veteran that young Joe Louis has been in against.
Young Joe Louis got a lot of body feints, Bob, but he's not really doing anything behind it. When you make a feint, you got to punch, and this is what brings the guy off the guard. And Occasio come back on him just like he did now.
Just landed another good shot. The thing is, young Joe looks dramatic, but Occasio's a master slipping punches, too. He doesn't get hit flush too often.
Like you said, Occasio been in there with champions, me and Michael Dose, and also he's been in there with Jimmy Young. So the guy knows what he's doing. He's been in there. He's been around.
Oh, when he beat Jimmy Young, it really surprised the boxing world. And, of course, the young fighters that vaulted him into a title shot against you.
That's right.
Joe Louis trying to get the shot out with the right hand, but beautifully countered by Jaws Occasio.
These guys are fighting. That's one thing I got to say about Don King. He puts on a good show, and wherever he goes, he puts on a terrific show. And these guys here are proving it tonight.
We mentioned that this fight was moved from Gary, Indiana to this site just today. Good left hand scored downstairs by young Joe, but Occasio comes back with a shot of his own.
I think that body shot hurt Occasio a little bit because he looked like he slowed up a little bit.
Sometimes those shots don't look like much on TV, but when you watch them here and you can feel almost in your stomach, your own stomach, the brunt of that punch, you get an idea that it takes a lot out of a guy where it really doesn't show up as you folks watch at home. What Larry was talking about is just a little short left hook to the body, and you see, in fact, Occasio backing off a bit. So Occasio with his back to you, young Joe coming on. Coming up, closing seconds in round 5. All right, that's it for round 5. We've got a real Donnybrook going here.
Young Joe Louis has continued to put the pressure on Occasio, making Occasio fight. He's taking a lot of punches, but he's making Occasio fight. Maybe he's trying to make Occasio use all his energy, but he's paying the cost.
Well, you see Angelo Dundee talking to young Joe. Angelo says, hey, what are you doing in there? You've got to work downstairs, come back upstairs with the right, and go back to the body again. And as soon as Occasio comes in, that's what Joe has to do. Now, watch this combination that we're going to show you by Occasio.
Occasio always throws a good combination. You got that sneaky right hand that we was talking about a little earlier.
Same thing with a different angle for you now. Watch light left, bang with the right hand. You hear the crowd yelling, Young Joe, they love it. Jaws Occasio. The fans here loving this. Look at them yelling, Young Joe. Underway is round 6.
I think Young Joe Louis lost his mouthpiece. Occasio hit him with a jab and looked at the mouthpiece like he wanted him to pick it up. But the ref told him to fight, and Occasio went back to work.
Don't forget, this is scheduled for 15 rounds, the WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship.
This round could be a factor because Young Joe Louis don't have his mouthpiece in. His mouthpiece get cut up from these punches, and that can affect him in the later rounds, Bob.
You notice, too, the way he's covering up with his right hand a little bit more than he was. Keeping his hands real high around his face now so he doesn't become a victim of what Larry Holmes was telling you, and that's a real good shot to the face and cut his lip or something like that that can cause problems.
See, you see Young Joe Louis make some feints right there, but he didn't do nothing. The feints are really nice, but he's not throwing a punch behind the feints, and they let Occasio come in on him.
Don't forget, in this, the championship fight, it's a 10-point must scoring system under the WBA. Previous fights that you've seen have been scored in the 5-point scoring system under the auspices of the state of Illinois Boxing Commission.
Occasio landed a good jab and turned it into a left hook. This is what Occasio is real good at.
Joe seems to explode at times and tries to score the one big shot where Occasio is doing the job uppercutting. That time, Louis got through with a good right uppercut.
Occasio tried to throw a right uppercut, and Louis beat him with one uppercut.
Louis extremely strong, has those bulky muscles. Sometimes in later rounds, that can take an effect on a guy, too. A la George Foreman, Sonny Liston, guys like that, when they get to later rounds, if in fact they got that far, it became problems when the muscles are too heavy for fighters.
Yes, it is. The big guys is always a problem, especially when they got big muscles. And Occasio can get tired because he got big legs, and his legs are real strong, so that could be a factor. He's on the outside, he's boxing, sticking his jab, and he's using a lot of energy.
One of the other great attributes that Occasio has is he has a big neck, and you found that out against Randy Cobb. When a guy has a big neck to absorb a punch, he can be tough to tumble.
That's right, especially when their neck is built when they don't have no neck at all, you know? You don't get that whip, and that's how they are able to take a punch. Cobb didn't have a neck at all.
He was game, he had the heart, just like Joe Louis has here. Closing seconds now in round 6. Round 7 in this championship fight, the WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship. Jaws Occasio beginning to take a little bit of control of the pace of the fight in the red trunks, but young Joe Louis has a dynamite knockout punch, so anything can happen. Bob Sheridan with Larry Holmes. Glad that you're with us here on the Don King Sports and Entertainment Network.
Angelo Dundee in between the round really gave young Joe Louis a talking to, Bob. He told him, let's go, you got the fight now, you're waiting around a little bit. Do something not to make that feint. And he's coming out doing the same thing. He's still making a lot of movement, but he's still not punching, and this is what Angelo Dundee is trying to get him to do.
Seems like when he gets real busy with his head in his hand, he wants to do something, but Occasio is too slick for him, Larry.
Yes, he is. Occasio using the whole ring side to side, and one thing about him, he's sticking that jab in between them. Good left hook by Occasio. I think by now Joe Louis should know that Occasio is going to throw that left hook, and he should keep his hands up, and he's not doing that.
First change of expression I saw is when Louis missed that kind of desperation right uppercut. A little bit of a smile came to the face of Occasio. Other than that, it's been a real serious battle all the way.
Yes, it has. Occasio always gives a little smile. Most of all the Latin fighters, if you know, except for one great fighter that I know, Sanchez, didn't smile. But all the other Latin fighters I know give you a little smile or a little dirty look every now and then.
The left hook gets by, but a light one. Oh, a good right hand. Spun the head of Lewis. It doesn't seem to have taken a lot of effect. He can take a whale of a shot. He's been hit a couple of times. Pretty hard, Larry.
Yeah, but like I said, Bob, he can't continue to take these punches because they will take a toll on you.
That's about the third that I can recall, and another good one there. Not as much because he was moving back. But two pretty good shots landed by Jaws Occasio here in round 7.
Occasio is starting to throw those 1-2 punches with the left hook following, and this is what's landing on young Joe Louis.
Joe tried to get off with the right hand, but it had no effect at all on Occasio.
Occasio is blocking a lot of these punches. They look close like they're landing, but they're not landing. He's riding with them and whatnot, and he's just fighting a good fight.
Fighting a smart fight. Angelo Dundee is going bananas, you might say, in this corner, telling young Joe Louis to come on, come on. But young Joe is just really offset by
Schwab's eye.
With round 8. Bob Sheridan, Larry Holmes calling the blow-by-blow, Larry providing the color commentary, and Larry should know because he's been in with Jaws Occasio. A good shot to open round 8.
Occasio is coming now throwing good left hook. You can see like he got a lot of confidence, and he's throwing good left hook, and he said, come on with it. And they're just standing up there trading punches. Occasio's getting the best.
Neither fighter has been down. Neither fighter really has been visibly shaken. Joe Louis has probably taken more heavy blows. He's definitely taken more heavy blows than has Jaws Occasio.
And a lot more blows. Like he just did that. He just took 2 left hooks by Jaws Occasio. Really wasn't nothing on those punches, but he took punches that he shouldn't have took.
The best round for young Joe Louis was back in the 3rd round when he may have just staggered Occasio a bit, but Occasio shook it off because he's in tremendous shape, as you folks can see now here in round 8.
Young Joe Louis' hand movement is slowed down a little bit. He's not as fast, as quick as he was in the early go. And this is what he got to do. He got to start slipping punches and getting out of the way and throwing punches back because he's starting to get hit now, Bob.
The combinations are taking their toll.
As I said earlier, you got to give a lot of credit to Don King because he is putting on good shows around the world, giving all fighters the opportunity to grow into young men and giving them opportunity to make some money. That's what's important about this.
Another left hand gets through the... Yes, we've been on the road putting on fight shows and television shows for the past 5 or 6 weeks, and he never runs out of good fights. This is another example, and earlier this evening we saw 2 good fights between Dwan Johnson and Milton Guest and Don Lee and Artie McLeod.
That's right. Occasio just got here with a good right hand by young Joe Louis and didn't phase him at all. But young Joe Louis didn't do anything behind it. He's out there still waiting.
Against Occasio, if he's eventually going to be successful, he has got to follow up. Now, there's a good example. He comes in, seemingly, he was trying to do some damage there to Occasio, but Occasio shook it off and now takes control of the round again.
As you notice, too, young Joe Louis' hands has went down. He's not covering as he were early in the fight.
Angelo's yelling from his corner, double up, but as he does, Jaws Occasio gets through with a shot of his own. Inside 15 seconds now as Occasio scores a good combination.
Occasio backed up Joe Louis with good punches that time, Bob. Back up against the rope. Looked like Joe Louis was shocked, and Occasio didn't foul up. Maybe he knows something that we didn't know, but he got to continue to put that pressure on young Joe Louis when he lands good punches like that.
All right, we're in the corner of young Joe Louis. We're past 8 rounds now, and Jaws Occasio in the past 4 or 5 rounds has taken command in the fight and is beginning to get some points scored for him in his favor.
Angelo Dundee said to young Joe Louis, what are you doing? You're blowing it. Don't blow it. Let's go. You got to work in there. I don't know what Occasio corner is saying because he don't speak English.
Okay, watch this replay now, folks. Occasio with a good right hand Notice the way he follows up behind the left, Larry. You talked about that when it happened with the other angle.
Occasio always follows up. After he throws that right hand, he's come back with his favorite punch, the left hook.
Coming up, round 9. Don't forget, Don King starts the big Don King Sports and Entertainment Network in 1983 with the WBA Junior Lightweight Championship. Roger Mayweather and Sammy Serrano. That'll be taking place live from San Juan, Puerto Rico next month. So stay right with us on the Don King Sports and Entertainment Network. We're in round 9, scheduled 15-round WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship. Ossie Jaws Occasio from San Juan beginning to rack up some points against young Joe Louis, who is undefeated in the black trunks. It's been an action-packed fight. Neither fighter has been down. A little puffiness around the eyes of young Joe Louis. Occasio's face is vertically unmarked.
Bobby, you notice what I'm talking about. Young Joe Louis makes a lot of good feints, but he don't do anything behind the feints. Occasio got a chance to come on and take the play away from him. This is what he's doing.
In other words, Larry, you would just say the same as Angelo's saying over there. Hey, just explode into this guy and let it happen.
Just throw your punch. I think take just as much out of you as a punch do.
Ooh, there's a left hand. Wicked shot, Larry.
That's Occasio's best punch is that left hook, and it's landing. Joe Louis should realize it's coming, so keep his hands up.
Another thing you notice, folks, as you watch this fight, when Joe is wild with his right hand, Occasio is very quick to follow up with a right of his own.
Young Joe Louis is getting hit with a lot of punches. Those punches now, Bob, are starting to take effect on young Joe Louis, and he can't continue to take punches like this.
You mentioned that, Larry, a very good point back around 3 and 4 and 5 when the first big heavy blows were starting to land, that later on it would take its toll, and you can see that the pace of the fight is definitely going Jaws Occasio's way now. Not to take anything away from the heart of young Joe, because he keeps coming on.
Yes, but he's getting hit, Bob. And he just got to explode, like you said, because he's way behind now. I think he's way behind, and he's just got to come on and start landing some punches. I think it's a good fight. It's an interesting fight. Still, you can't sell him short. See, when Occasio throws punches, what Joe Louis do is cover it up. And you can't cover up. You got to throw back. He's giving young Joe Louis opportunity to look and take a shot wherever he want to take it.
The obvious thing, though, as Joe comes in, is Jaws is just beating him to the punch all the time now. In the early going, the first 2 or 3 rounds, it wasn't happening. Now, all the time, Occasio is beating him to the punch.
That's right.
There it is again. Perfect example is the closing seconds of round 9.
Take a live doubleheader. Super soft Isaiah Thomas leads Detroit Pistons against the Boston Celtics. Then the world champion LA Lakers take Dallas to the boards. ESPN is your ticket to NBA excitement Sunday.
All right, here we are in round 10. And now this is approaching the area where young Joe Louis has never been.
He's still pushing. He's still pushing, though, Bob. Young Joe Louis still pushing, but he got to push with punches, not with body pressure.
Both fighters in tremendous physical shape, but as Larry Holmes has pointed out, young Joe Louis in the black trunks has got to attack. All the body movement doesn't get him any points. And I have him unofficially behind by about 6 or 7 or 8 points right now.
If you notice Occasio is backing off of young Joe Louis because young Joe Louis came in real fast and he wants to back Occasio up, and Occasio let him back him up and sneak that jab in there. And then when Joe Louis slowed down, Occasio would come on.
Occasio, a master on both offense and defense, an excellent counterpuncher. As young Joe Louis comes in there, you saw the head bounce twice. There it is again with the left hook. Jaws can throw his left hand from almost any place. And there's the combinations. He's coming in for combinations and zipping back out so he doesn't get hit.
Occasio come back with that left hook because he throws the right hand, he throws the jab, the right hand, and young Joe Louis had ducked down, but he comes back up in time for the left hook to land.
Referee tells both fighters keep the hands up. A left hand gets through, thrown by young Joe, but Occasio just doesn't take any toll on him at all. There's a right hand that catches Occasio.
That was Joe Louis' best punch of the night. I think it shook him up a little bit at that time. Occasio had to hold on.
Angelo Dundee yelling from the corner, press him, follow him up. As he comes in, he gave Occasio just that few seconds to regain, to clear any cobwebs that might have occurred from that shot, and Occasio's back.
You got to continue to put the pressure on Occasio, and you got to put it on with the punching. You cannot put it on with body pressure. You got to put punching pressure against him.
The boxing term is to get off, and Larry explained to the viewers what that means, to get off, what Joe's not doing.
Joe Louis is not getting off. He's just waiting for one punch to try to take Occasio out with. And you can't take a fighter out with just one punch. You got to box your way into that position to be able to land the most effective punches.
Angelo Dundee yelling, Joe, don't stand there. He's waiting on you. He's just waiting to come in and counterpunch you. And that's what's been going on. Land good shots.
Occasio got hit with a good punch, but he came back with good punches of his own.
Round 10 almost history now. Here we go. Round 11, 15-round WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship. Bob Sheridan, along with Larry Holmes, the principals in the ring, the champ. Oswaldo Jaws Occasio from San Juan, entertaining young Joe Louis. In the black trunks, we have Occasio pretty comfortably out in front in the fight. It's going to take some heavy punching for young Joe Louis if, in fact, he's to win this and lift this WBA title belt from Occasio. Occasio looking way too strong and way too slick at this point. Two left hooks score again.
The young Joe Louis just continued to pressure Occasio, but with no punching pressure, with body pressure. And that's what he's getting hit.
From the corner, you hear that Angelo Dundee say, Joe, keep coming in, keep coming in.
Angelo wants young Joe to throw body punches. This is something he ain't done. Maybe Occasio's a little weak to the body. That time, young Joe Louis threw a body punch. Occasio caught it on the arm.
You take a look at his body, and he doesn't look too weak, does he?
That's right, he looks strong. Occasio is a boxer now. He's sticking that jab. He's on the move. Got hit with a grazing punch that time. Really wasn't nothing on that.
We're in round 11. Neither fighter has been off his feet, and neither fighter, for the heavy blows that have been landed, has really been shaken or really grogged. Good shot scored by young Joe Louis that time. Occasio still has plenty of bounce in his legs, though, and as Larry pointed out, with those heavy legs, he's able to really absorb punches with the legs and neck combination. He makes it really, really tough for somebody to take him out. Young Joe has scored more punches to the head of Occasio this round than in any other round.
Occasio is taking a breather this round, it looks like it to me, but his corner's not too happy about it taking a breather. He's on the outside, moving around. His corner hollering at him. Just told him to fight a little bit, so let's see what he's going to do.
He looks like he might be playing a little bit of a possum, but he gets that combination off pretty good. He hasn't really worked as hard this round at all. Consequently, young Joe has scored the heavier blows in this round. There's a good left hook to the head that time of Louis.
Young Joe Louis is doing what he should have been doing a long time. He's using his body, plus he's throwing punches behind him. There you go.
The pace of the fight has been absolutely furious. It's been just like this. If for some reason you may just be joining us, we're in round 11, and the pace has not slowed down one bit from the opening bell. There's the bell ending round number 11.
Young Joe Louis still looks fresh, and Occasio looks a little bit tired than young Joe Louis. That round, I feel that Occasio took a little breather. His corner disagreed with him, but that's what he did.
Well, the crowd is yelling, Joe, 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 Joe. You can see them.
think the crowd tell you who they want to win, but that don't always go their way.
It doesn't always go the way. Don't forget the Don King Sports and Entertainment Network starts 1983 with the WBA Junior Lightweight Championship. Roger Mayweather, the champion, takes on Sammy Serrano. That fight will be coming to you next month live from San Juan, Puerto Rico. We're here in the between, there's the promoter, Don King, in between round 11 and 12 of this big WA Junior Heavyweight Championship fight. How he was able to get us to Chicago in one day from Gary, Indiana is beyond me. And the crowd is going wild as round 12 gets underway.
Young Joe Louis came out real fast that time, but Occasio said, hey, wait a minute, let me hold you up a little bit.
Well, Angelo told, in between rounds, told Louis, look, you got to pick up the pace of the fight. You're way behind. The pace has been tough, but look at it now.
Young Joe Louis doing what he should have been doing early with the pressure, putting pressure on him now. This is what I call pressure.
Don't forget, young Joe Louis is from Chicago. That's why the crowd is so partisan here. He's giving it all he has to attack Charles Occasio. There's Angelo Dundee down in the corner.
Angelo likes to see this. This is what Angelo been hollering about all the time. To stay right there. Keep the pressure on Occasio.
Good shot scored. Uppercut. Looks like there might be a little cut open up beside the right eye. I can't really tell whether that's sweat or blood of the eye of young Joe Louis. But their heads have been all around each other when they've been in these clinches.
Young Joe Louis, right, his left eye, I think, is closing up a little bit from the punches that Occasio accumulated, like he just did there.
Good combination.
I'm sorry, his left eye. No, that's his left eye. He's getting hit now.
Larry, could you see, is it cut? In fact, I couldn't tell whether it was sweat or whether it's red.
It's kind of red. It don't look like it's cut, Bob. It's kind of red there. But young Joe Louis now, he's not punching. He's just taking punches now. He's slowed down a little bit. He's not as hot as he was when he first came out.
He exploded in the beginning of round 12 and had the crowd on their feet here. It's definitely a partisan crowd, but I know you folks watching down in Puerto Rico feel exactly the opposite. You love to see Charles Occasio retain his title.
I think the referee will stop the fight for a few seconds to fix the glove of young Joe Louis because the tape coming off, and they usually stop the fight for that. Referee might not see that right now. Occasio is trying to set him up again with a left hook when they usually go back to the left and throws the left hook.
Occasio just picking his shots. That's exactly what Angelo didn't want Joe to do, and that's wait. He's got to keep coming. Now he really looks like Joe Frazier with that head movement and feigning, but he's got to say, as you said before, Larry, he's got to keep throwing punches.
And he's taking punches like Joe Frazier did coming in there.
Let the crowd tell the story. They love it.
Yes, they do. They're really enthused here with this fight. Joe Louis is their man, and they come to see him fight. They come to see him become champion. But Occasio says no way. But we leave that up to the judges.
Larry, how would you have scored round number 12 yourself? Because it was kind of two different things that happened. For the first minute and a half or so, Joe Louis poured him on. Then Occasio seemed to be satisfied, standing back, getting a couple of combinations off. That's a kind of a tough round to score.
Yes, it is, Bob. I would have to say that round was a draw, but again, you don't have draws in the round. So let's flip a coin and call a winner.
Okay, we'll go with young Joe in that round. Then we'll give him a break because he's behind on points. Look at the crowd. They're on their feet. They're yelling, "Young Joe! Young Joe!" They love it. Round 13 has them on their feet in Chicago. Ocasio
is out there boxing now, using the long jab, and young Joe Louis can't cut the ring off. He's using the jab, and he's going side to side.
This shows the versatility of Occasio, that he's able to do this. He can counter punch, he can jab, keep the man off him, and he's tagging him with that jab. He's also making young Joe miss. He wasn't going to allow him to come out and do what he did at the start of round 12.
That's right, and every time young Joe Louis gets close enough to him, Occasio ties him up and let the referee break it up, start all over again. Occasio is doing it good. He's boxing real well, and Joe Louis is doing the same thing he was doing earlier, using that body pressure with no punches behind him.
This is round 13 in the scheduled 15-round championship fight. The crowd here in Chicago loves their hometown boy, young Joe Louis.
Occasio's doing what he got to do to stay out of trouble. He's using the jab, just landing the good left hooks, and he's using that lateral movement, which is so important. These guys look like they're in very good shape, Bob.
They have to be in great shape, Larry. As you well know, you've gone 15 a few times, and when you're into the 13th, the way these guys have been working.
Occasio just landed two good punches on young Joe Louis, a good right hand. Good punch by young Joe Louis.
He might have Occasio staggered a bit.
Yes, he hurt Occasio. He landed good punches.
You see Charles Occasio hanging on a bit. Young Joe definitely staggered him. But as Larry pointed out so many times, those heavy legs, he's able to absorb punches with the heaviness of his neck and the thickness of his neck, coupled with the big, strong legs that he has.
Yes, he do. Young Joe Louis' eye is starting to close now. His left eye is starting to close. But he's finding the mark now. He's starting to get a hold of Occasio. This is what he got to do. He got to stay there and continue to put that pressure on, that punching pressure I'm talking about.
For the first time in the fight, Occasio looks like he might be slightly fatigued.
Yes, he is. Occasio is very tired, and his corner got to refresh him and bring him back because he's still got 2 more rounds of fighting to do. And young Joe Louis is going to stay right on top of him because Angelo Dundee is going to keep pushing young Joe Louis.
We have the exchange that both fighters were involved in. We're going to show you that right now. Jab by Occasio, the right hand comes through. Occasio scores again.
Young Joe Louis, that's what I'm talking about. Young Joe Louis came off and he started throwing punches when Occasio was throwing him and beat him to the punch.
Watch this angle of it, Larry.
There was the right hander young Joe Louis landed on Occasio, and he had to kind of retreat. These guys are fighting. And young Joe Louis wants this title, and this is why he's going after Occasio like he's doing.
Here we go, round 14. Well, Joe has got to keep doing exactly as he began to do in round 12 and continued in 13. He's got to do it here. This is a 15-round fight. And this is what the WBA says. If this fight was stopped or ended under the WBC new rules, it would have been all over. And the 12th round, Occasio probably would have won it. And now it's taking a change, the momentum here in favor of young Joe in these last couple of rounds.
That's why the fighters got to adjust their style and get out there and win the early rounds and stop trying to wait for the last round. You got to be able to still condition your body to be able to go 15 rounds so you can go that 12 round just as hard. That was a hard right hand thrown by young Joe Louis that missed. If that would have landed, something would have happened that time.
Jaws has changed his tactics the last couple of rounds, and it hasn't really complimented him. He's waiting and waiting instead of trying to attack himself. Look at the crowd. It goes mad every time Joe Louis scores a punch.
Young Joe Louis put a lot of pressure on him. And Occasio got to start doing what was doing early. He started hooking him and using that hard jab.
Occasio seems to be happy, Larry, jabbing, and then hanging on when Young Joe comes in instead of really getting off those right-hand shots that he was earlier in the fight. See what I mean? He lets him come in and grabs him.
Maybe Occasio thinks he's so far ahead he can rest, but you cannot rest because as long as these judges out here scoring a fight. Good left hook by Occasio that time. But this is what he got to do. When Joe Louis missing with that punch, he got to be able to capitalize on the mistakes.
With some decisions, how any fighter can think that he's that far ahead. It's too dangerous a thing in boxing to think that you're that far ahead because you never know how judges are going to score a fight.
That's right. That's why you go out and fight for 15 rounds and give it all you got every round. This is what young Joe Louis done. You can't take it away from him. He's fought. He gave it all he had each round, Bob. Occasio still sticking that jab out, and Joe Louis now is not doing anything. See, that's what Occasio is building up punches. He's throwing side to side, he's sticking jabs, and when Joe Louis decides to throw one, Occasio blocks it. And then when it gets in close like that, he's tied up by Occasio.
There's the ring sense showing again where he hangs on as soon as the pressure gets in too tight on him. Right. He's obviously a bit more fatigued than young Joe.
I've got $100,000.
Round of the WBA Junior Heavyweight Championship of the World. Charles Occasio out in front. Young Joe Louis looking for the knockout. It's been a war throughout. Louis in the black trunks, Occasio in the red trunks. Bob Sheridan, Larry Holmes here on the Don King Sports and Entertainment Network. What a fight we've got for them, Larry.
Yes, it is. And Occasio is doing the wrong thing right now because the way he's moving, the judges will think he's running. He can't run. He got to get out there and box. He got to box in close and win the round. He can't just stand back and let Joe Louis take the play away from him.
Jaws is showing that he is in good shape as he's dancing around, bouncing around, not letting young Joe Louis get to him.
Occasio threw the combination that time. He'll come back with left hook, but left hook didn't land.
Don't forget, neither fighter has been down. Nobody has really been groggy or visibly shaken. A couple of times some good shots have landed, thrown by both fighters, but nobody's really shown that they've been staggered at all in the fight. We're in the 15th round, and it has been at this pace and better for most of the fight.
Yes, it is. And only marks is out there is on young Joe Louis' left eye. And that's the only thing showing right now, Bob. Occasio should do now, Bob, is close the show. He should fight, win this round convincingly, and take all the play away from young Joe Louis.
You've got to give a lot of credit to the heart of young Joe Louis. He has been the aggressor. He's tried to do everything he can in this fight to take it away from Occasio, but Occasio's experience and ability are really showing here in this fight, although he has been coasting the past couple of rounds. Oh, a good right hand. Catches Charles Occasio. The crowd on their feet here.
Occasio is smart enough to hold on after that good punch. Now he's waving him in. Can't wave him in. He got to fight it. He cannot just give it away.
Occasio may have been hurt more than we realize. No, he's hamming it up a bit here, but he's taking his chances. Inside 30 seconds. What a finish. Holmes and I feel like Occasio built up enough points through the 4th, 5th, 6th, and on through about the 10th round to win the fight too, but we'll wait for the official decision. The judges, Ove Ovenson from Denmark, Medardo de Lobos from Panama, and the referee Isidore Rodriguez from Venezuela, all WBA officials. Waiting for the official decision. We'll show you a quick look here of a nice right hand thrown by Joe Louis.
That was high on the head, Bob. It really didn't have a whole lot of effect. The crowd made it seem more than it really was, but Occasio was smart, but he clinched him up that round.
And that's where what you said he had to do in the closing seconds of the round was finish really strong and put on a good show for the judges here.
Yes, he did.
I have it scored 147-140 for Occasio, but I reiterate something that we've been talking about throughout. We're unofficial scorers here,
right,
and we're just trying to give you an indication of the way we saw the fight. We'll have the official scoring momentarily by the 2 international judges and an international referee. The crowd here certainly has loved this fight.
Referee, Judge Ove Ovenson scores young Joe Louis 142, Occasio 146.
So the Danish judge has it 146-142.
Judge Madria Villalobos scores young Joe Louis 143. Ossie 147. Referee Isidore Rodriguez scores young Joe Louis 144. Ossie 147. The winner by unanimous decision, and still the WBA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, Ossie.
Osvaldo Occasio, Jaws, has retained the championship.
Hey, let him in.
Ossie, turn around. We'll be on this camera here. Okay, we'll get the interpretation here. Jaws, tell us in your words how that fight went against young Joe Louis.
¿Quiere saber cómo la pelea fue contra Joe Louis?
Fue fácil. No fue nada difícil para mí. Estoy bien.
He said that it was just an easy fight. He feel good for the fight, you know. It was a great fight.
Were you surprised that he was in such great shape and the way he brought the fight to you as much as he did?
Él dice que si la pelea fue una sorpresa como él te trajo la pelea para ti.
No, yo soy un buen boxeador y aquí en el ring pues yo sé defenderme y no encuentro nada difícil en esto, porque ya estoy para esto.
Él dice, he said that he know already, he know through his boxing career that he's a better fighter than Joe Louis.
Was he surprised he wasn't able to knock him out?
Estaba sorpresoso por no tumbarlo.
Yo vine a ganarle, yo no vine aquí a noquear. Vine a pelear 15 rounds.
He said he came here to win him. He didn't come here to mess with the guy.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, the words of the champion, the WBA super lightweight, heavyweight champion. A great job, John Occasio.
Número 1, Puerto Rico.
You want to say anything to Puerto Rico?
Gracias.
Puerto Rico.
Me siento bien orgulloso por estar aquí peleando por Puerto Rico y esto es para Puerto Rico y espero que sea por mucho tiempo.
Vaya, número 1, vaya, Puerto Rico.